All right, now that we've got Visual Studio installed, we can get down to programming. So go ahead and start up your Visual Studio. Actually, I already have one here running. Yes. So as I said, if you don't have the icon, it's going to be under All Programs, Visual Studio 2015, and click on Visual Studio Tools. Actually, I don't even see it there. Let's see. Once you have it open, click on New Project. And let it run. Click on Visual C++. Empty project. And then down here, we're going to name it First Program. And what you want to do is go to your desktop. Once it's listed up here, right click, choose New, just hover your mouse over New, and then choose Folder. A new folder will show up. Inside the box there, type in C++. I already have one made, so I'm going to just delete that. So make sure there's no checks in either of these boxes, and then click OK. And Visual Studio will set up some of the files needed to get this project started. Here we go. Now under the in the Solution Explorer, click on Source Files, right click on that, hover the mouse over Add, and choose New Item. Click on C++ file, and then down at the bottom, choose type in main.cpp and click Add. All right. On the first line, type in the pound sign, the number sign, tic-tac-toe board, the word include, open or less than sign, and inside you'll see the two will show up. Inside there, in between them, you want to type in IO stream. And now you just arrow over if you want, but if you just type the close or the greater than sign, it'll move you right over there without typing in an extra one. Put in a couple of spaces. Type in int, int, then the word main, all lowercase letters, main, and then open and close some parentheses. This is the main function for your program. Every C++ or C program needs to have a function that's labeled main. This tells the compiler this is where the program is supposed to start. Now, on the next line, open up some of the curly braces, and you'll see again it'll put up the opening and the closing one. Just hit enter here, and it will put you on the next line, tab you out, and move the close brace down out of your way. Now, we're going to type in std stands for standard, then 2 semicolons, and then the letter C and word out. Put a space. Use the, I think it's the extrusion operator, which is 2 less than symbols. Extraction. Put in double parentheses or double quotes. Type in hello world, maybe a couple of exclamation points for drama, and then put a semicolon. You have to put a semicolon at the end of almost every command in C. The include doesn't require it, but I think everything else does. So at the end of your command, put the semicolon. And on the next line, type in std, 2 double colons again, cn, period, the word get, open and close some parentheses, and another semicolon. Skip a line, type in return, space 0, semicolon. So this is what we have here in this program. The include file at the top, this tells C, or the compiler, to go and locate this file iostream. And it basically inserts it in the beginning of this file. But we don't need it there because we don't need to see it. So we just use the include rather than actually copy and pasting it in there. Now, you will occasionally see things like include, let me see, commands that use the quotes rather than the greater than or less than signs. If the quotes are used, that's telling the compiler that the header file, which is what these are called, hence the .h, the header file is located in the same directory where your program is, at least if it's standalone. You could also see it something like this, C:\\, users Gary documents standard io.h. You could also see it something like that. And what that tells the compiler is to go to this particular path and find it. But we don't actually need this other one in here right now. So that was just for future knowledge if you see them written out that way. Now, like I said, the main function tells the compiler this is where to start running the code. And our first command in here, standard cout hello world. What this does is sends a command to the console. The console window is like the command prompt. And the command to do it, cout, that's found in the standard library, which is going to be everything that's included in these header files. This here is just telling the compiler what we're sending. And we can change these together. Like we could make another one, and we can include a variable, endl, which stands for end line. And that's a constant that's also saved up in IO stream. So you can chain these together as long as you want, and it'll just send all that information to the screen. Now the next line, cin, that's console in, get, this just gets a character from the screen. So, and then we're not doing anything with it because we just want to know that they hit a key. If we didn't have that, let's comment it out by putting 2 slash marks at the front of the line so it's not there. And then we'll continue. This last line is always going to be the last line of your, right before the end of main. It says return 0. What that does is it sends a message back to Windows saying our program has finished successfully, and that lets Windows know that it can now free up all the memory of our program and any variables that it might use for other projects. So let's run this program and see what happens. To run it, just click up at the top where it says Local Window Debugger. Click on that. We shouldn't get any errors. And for a second, you saw the console window open up, and then it immediately closed. That's because it did exactly what we said. Main program started, it printed this out to the window, and then the program ended. So what we want to do is have that console window stay open a little bit longer so we get a chance to see what the output is. So take those comments out, or to turn that back into a regular line, and compile and run it again. And there it is. Hello world. We just hit the we have to hit the enter key to make this close. Yeah, hit enter. And that's it. That's our program. Now you're going to find later on that this command, which you'll see a lot of times, that will it will not work because there are already keys that are buffered. So a better way of doing that is to go System, pause. That command, let's see, run it. There we go. It'll just say press any key to continue. We can hit any key and it continues, and to close. This one here doesn't care if there's any characters in the keyboard buffer or not. Now, one last thing I want to show you on this one, because we're going to be doing a lot of this C out and C in type things for the next few programs. So I just want to show you this. Get it typing in before every one of those commands, std : gets pretty tiresome. Some companies will make you do that if you work for them to keep things clear. Others don't. And it's up to you how you decide to write it. But you can type in this command using namespace std. You have to type that outside before main. What that does is it tells our compiler that if it can't find the a definition for a function call, that it should go and look in here. So now we can get rid of all of these STDs. And yep, still runs just fine. And obviously if you have them in there, it still works. So that's it. That's our first program. the Hello World program, the easiest one, and usually the first one you ever write in any language. So come back and watch the next one. The next one we're going to cover a few of the basic variables, some simple math, and getting user input.